revolutionary human being that ever walked. His Christ mind, his Christ consciousness turned Western civilization upside down. And I think that Jesus, who, as we begin the next 3 weeks, came to teach us 4 great spiritual principles, which were absolutely religious science down the line. The first principle, I think, was that he came to teach us the concept of not only one God, but of a universal God. Now, before Jesus, of course, most of the world believed in dual gods, many gods. They believed in many, many different kinds of gods. Boy, who did I just sound like just then? The ancient Jews understood that there was one God, but here was the difference. They believed that he was their God, and that they were the chosen people. They were the chosen ones. Jehovah, to the Jews, was a tribal God, an angry, legalistic God who punished a lot more than it loved. Jesus of Nazareth brought evolution one giant step forward because he taught us that God is all there is. That there is the great I am presence, the God of all humanity, whether they recognized it or not. So he shifted this idea of many gods, one God, but only my God, to this concept of there is a God that is for all humanity, for all of us. For all of us. Whether you recognized it or not, he taught us. His second great idea was that since every human being is created by God, we are therefore one with God. That there is no separation between that which created us and us. We are one with this Creator, that we were created from the same form and the substance as the great Creator of all that is seen and unseen. So Jesus came to teach us that there is one God for all of us, and we are one with that presence. That we are made out of the same stuff, the same essence, the same energy. Which means that there is no separation between God and humanity. No separation between God and its creation. Except in our thinking. Jesus came to teach us that realizing our divinity sets us free. And that we thus enter into what he called the kingdom of God. The kingdom of heaven on earth right now. And he taught that that was a realm of understanding that's within us. That when we reach it, it makes all things not only possible, but simple and easy and real. Before this time, the world had no concept that they were one with God. Before this man was born and his teachings many years later came to light, humanity believed that there was this outside, vengeful, legalistic, keeping count, writing down the naughty and nice things that you do. Although that is Santa Claus. They look alike, maybe. Before this, that's what humanity believed. But the master teacher whose birth we celebrate in this month came to teach us, first of all, there is one God for all of us, whether you know it or not. And secondly, that we are one with that God. That there is no separation. And when we reach the kingdom of God within us, all things are possible and come easily and effortlessly. And the third great idea that the master teacher came and was birthed on planet Earth to teach us was the concept, I believe, of acceptance. The acceptance of one another, obviously. But it was also this idea of turning the other cheek. Now, many of you know, I've said this in this church before, that when I first was a little girl and the minister said, you know, if somebody says something bad to you, you got to turn the other cheek. If somebody hits you on one side, you got to turn the other cheek and let him hit you on the other. Well, if y'all know me more than 5 minutes, you know that didn't work with me. The Jewish tribal god, Jehovah, demanded an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Remember that from the Old Testament? And that is how the world lived before the master teacher came to tell us forgiveness, acceptance, oneness, and love. So the great third idea that this man came to teach us was that when we are wronged, we are to turn the other cheek, look at the good, and forgive. Jesus himself said, I came to teach nothing new except love one another. Before this time, the world believed that God was the God of the divine payback. You do me wrong, I'm going to do you wrong. And for the first time, there was a teaching taught by this Christ mind that said, no, there's another way to live. That an eye for an eye only begets a cycle of offense and payback that lasts for generations and generations and generations. And isn't that what we're seeing in some parts of the world today? All from this vengeful, I'll get back. But the master teacher, whose third, I believe, principle who came to teach us was, however painful it is, however difficult it is, seize the moral high ground, and life will unfold perfectly.